The best time of the day has arrived yet again. We got legs today, and I'm going to do a little bit of a switch up. I'm going to train hamstrings and quads in the same workout. Now, moving forward, I don't know if this is going to be the plan indefinitely, but I'm just feeling a little bit of a switch up today. I've kind of been doing the whole quads on one day, hamstrings on another day for a decent amount of time, and I just want to switch things up. I think if you're feeling like things are getting a little redundant and you just need a change of pace, it's okay to switch a workout around. I don't hit a lot of arm days right now. Sometimes I'll throw those in if I need to bring my arms up, or they are kind of fun little workouts that don't tax the system too much, so I'll throw those in every now and then just to keep things fun. You know, sometimes I think it's easy to forget that we got into the gym and we got into this whole game of getting huge and getting yoked and strong and shredded because we love the gym. And sometimes you can let it just turn into something that you do every single day. So yeah, it's good to remember to make it fun, change it up, and sometimes that's the little break you needed to get back onto your current plan. Now, I'm not burning out or anything. It just sounds like it's going to be a good workout. And sometimes you got to go with your gut. You got to go with what's feeling good. And then, of course, there's other times where you need to stick to the program and you need to do what you've programmed for yourself. And that just comes with experience. And, you know, if I was doing a competition prep, I would stick to the plan. I wouldn't change it up. It's very circumstantial. You have to know exactly when this is applicable and when it's not. You know, strength is going up. Things are moving very well. And the way I'm training now with higher intensity, lower volume, for the most part, it's kind of easier to change lifts up like this. Whereas when you're doing a higher volume, adding an extra muscle group can kind of throw off your whole rhythm of training, in my opinion. So we're just going to see how this workout goes. And, you know, things have been going well. Now, I would say maybe some things in my training haven't been progressing at the rate that I would like to see. And I'm also using this as just a feeler to kind of get an idea of potential things that I could do moving forward better. You know, you always want to be trying to find something that you can tweak a little bit to change. Now, if something's working well for you and you don't need to change it, by all means, keep doing the same thing. But back to what I said earlier, if you do need a little change of pace, and if your mind is wired that way, then go ahead and go for it. And just, you know, if it works, maybe you can switch to that, or maybe that's all you needed to get back on track. And that, I think, is better than just taking a rest day or skipping the workout or, you know, hitting chest when you're supposed to hit legs. So that's what we're going to do. And probably going to keep the hamstring movements less lower back loaded, depending on how the workout goes. I kind of have the structure worked out in my head already, and you'll see how that goes. Now, of course, with this whole topic of changing up your workouts, you can go into the gym with a plan. And let's say you train between the hours of, like, you know, somewhere between 4 and 8 p.m., usually when the gym is pretty crowded. And if you go to a popular gym, the likelihood that you're going to hit the exact workout that you had on paper, probably not very high. So you have to be adaptable in order to make gains. Because some people will just go into the gym and they'll wait for whatever machine to open up. Now, I think if you're waiting for your first movement, this is okay, depending on how long it's going to take. And you can always ask somebody if you can work in with them. That's great. You can make a new friend that way. Or you can go spend a little extra time on your warm-up, or talk to your friends if you have some friends there. But if you're crunched on time and it's going to take away from the rest of your workout unless you have a really good way to make up for that lost time, just move on to something else you had in your plan if it's open, or you might have to just change things up completely, and that's a good way to find new movements. So don't get locked into this idea that you have to train the same way every single time. And I actually did this like in the early years of lifting. I would let it bother me. It would kind of just eat away at me throughout my workout. I wish this person wasn't on this machine, or this ruined my whole workout. It wasn't as good, when the entire goal of the workout is to just accumulate muscle damage, and you can do that with exercises in any order. Now, the strength on every exercise might change if you have to do leg extensions before your squats, but I mean, that's just life. Like, not everything is going to go your way unless you have like your own private gym or something, which would be pretty sick. But not all of us have that luxury available to us, so you have to be adaptable. And it's not about perfection. I've always said you can have the perfect workout on paper, but if you don't apply 100%, you're not going to get 100% out of it. Whereas somebody who is going to apply 100% could have, a suboptimal program and make better gains than somebody who had a perfect program on paper. Your body doesn't necessarily recognize movements, it just recognizes stress when it comes to building muscle. Now, if you're training strength, that might be a different story. But we're not powerlifters over here. We're bodybuilders. So, same thing, just it's okay. You'll get your perfect workout in eventually, and it'll be great. But sometimes you got to change things up. And sometimes I've had the greatest workouts, ever when I've switched things up and I found new ways to do something. Oh wow, my squats actually felt better after leg extensions, even though my strength went down. I had more of a mind-muscle connection with my quads than when I started with squats. Or maybe it might open up to you that maybe it wasn't the leg extensions themselves that made the squats better, but you just did a better job at warming up your quads moving into the squats. So there's lots of things you can use to input as data moving forward to evolve as a lifter. I don't think there's anybody that started in the gym like within their first or second year that is training the same way when they're in like year 5 and beyond. Like that would be pretty crazy. I would say that person has tapped into a magical power that I wish I could tap into. They just know the perfect workout. And some people are built for, chasing the logbook, progressive overloading every single week on the same movements. I would lose my mind doing that. I have to change things up. Still progressively overloading, looking back, I write all my workouts down, and I don't usually use it as hard data to beat every single week, but more so as like a placeholder, like, okay, I hit this weight on the leg press for my third movement, kind of do a little bit of bro math, figure out what I could do if I was doing it for the first set or whatever. You get the idea. Just an idea of where my strength is at, what kind of weight I can push, what kind of rep range I can use that weight in. All really cool stuff. And I think a lot of people get frustrated because when in the early years you're kind of still figuring everything out. And I know that when I was first starting, it kind of seemed like people just had this mythical ability to figure out what the best way to work out was for them, and they were 5 years beyond. But if you're constantly doing these kind of things and you're like taking note of what's actually happening in your workouts, that I think is going to be more important. That plus time in the gym and consistency is what's going to make you a better lifter moving forward, and never losing that mindset. There's been times where, I feel like I figured it out, what works best for me, and that's when I start to stall. So definitely pay attention to what is working and how it's working and what's not working and what you could potentially do to fix that. But yeah, that's my little rant for now. I'll have more obviously later because that's what I do. I just rant in my car on the way to the gym and then work out and take my shirt off or my pants or whatever it was for the day and call it good. But that being said, I'll see you guys in the gym. Starting the workout today with some machine adductions. If you're not doing these on your leg day, I would definitely recommend putting them somewhere in the beginning or at the end. I find that a lot of guys often neglect hitting their adductors or abductors just because the machines can be a little bit awkward. I understand, especially when you first start out, but if you're trying to develop full big legs, which I'm currently in the process of doing myself, you don't want to neglect these. They're going to make your inner leg just look thicker. They're also just important for stability in the squat and just having a full, complete physique. And get over the whole, oh, this exercise looks weird, this is for girls kind of thing in the gym. We're not in the gym to look cool, and nobody's going to look over at you and think that you're weird for doing this movement. And if they do, then why would you care? Because your goals shouldn't involve the thoughts and opinions of people that you don't even talk to. So that's my 2 cents on the adductions. Going over to some lying leg curls. Almost maxed out the stack here, but I thought about it. But I wanted to make sure that my form was at least semi-decent. And I know I'm rocking a little bit, but tension is being applied on my hamstrings. And I know I talk a lot about form and not the best form. And this is one of those instances where when you're really trying to get something to grow, I do think form has to be sacrificed a little bit. Because if you're constantly just using the same weight over and over and over again and telling yourself that you're training mind-muscle connection and you're getting a really good pump, but nothing's improving, something has to improve. And you're going to have to compromise. So go up in weight. Form is going to be a little shaky, but clean it up. You get better with that weight. Then I moved on to some Smith squats. These felt really nice. Same thing here, 4.5 wheels. Haven't done this weight in a long time. Reintroducing strength. Got 5 reps. Felt really good. Knees feeling a lot better. So hopefully we'll be able to move these up a little bit in the coming weeks. Did a back off set with 4 plates. I'm not going to be that guy that says 405 on the Smith machine because you don't really know how much the bar on the Smith machine weighs, but it doesn't weigh close to 45 pounds, so I'm not going to inflate my ego that way. But regardless, these felt really good. Loving the squats. I recently started placing my feet a little bit forward on the Smith squat, so it's more like a hack squat, and you can get really deep range of motion, really good stretch in the quads. And let me tell you, the DOMs for the next 2 to 3 days are just brutal. Sitting down, standing up, walking, sitting, laying down, quads are screaming. I also did hyperextensions for the first time in a while. Haven't done these too often. And let me tell you, these are absolutely brutal. I'm going to keep these in the program from now on. Really good. If you're not trying to overload your back and you still want to do a hinge type movement, I highly recommend doing these. But don't think about it from extending from the lower back. Think about pulling up your body weight with your hamstrings. It's almost like a makeshift Nordic hamstring curl in a way. Go about it that way. I did 3 sets here, but I only recorded 1. But these do feel really nice, and I'm going to keep them in the mix. Then I moved on to the Cybex leg press. Probably the greatest leg press ever created, at least as far as the ones I've used. I just really like the arc, the way the machine moves. Feels a lot better than straight up and down. Got 8 plates on each side here, just going deep. I did 3 sets of 12. Really just trying to bury myself in the hole here and use all of my quad to dig myself out. These are feeling really good. I recently decided that I was going to start pointing my toes out a little bit to the side on most leg movements, and this has made a lot of movements more comfortable for me. And also placing my stance a little bit wider. I always kept like a really narrow stance, and recently I've had a lot of hip issues, lower back issues. Moving my toes out and my stance has really allowed me to progress in a lot of ways, and I've just found that it's more comfortable for my body, and I've talked about it a lot. Just got to make these little tweaks, some things that you did 1 or 2 years ago, if you're actually making gains, your body is going to change and your leverages might change as well. So you got to constantly change things up. At least you got to be aware of it. If something starts hurting and it never hurt before, you might have injured yourself, or you might just have to change the way that you do the movement. And then we're finishing the workout with some calf raises. And same thing here. I point my toes out a little bit. Really helps me get a contraction in the calves and get a stretch at the bottom. Still working on keeping my calves from caving inwards on the bottom portion of the rep. And I think here I did a total of 3 to 4 sets, but I only recorded one just because I don't think it's worth recording all of those sets. But we'll finish out the set here, and I will see you guys when I see you.